Hi there, my name's Andrew Adams and welcome to another Parker Adams walkthrough tour. Now today I have a Fairline Targa 30. She's a beautiful example, but in fact she's already sold. We sold this boat incredibly quickly and we hadn't had a chance to do a walkthrough tour, but we're getting a lot of feedback from people at the moment on the channel that they're really enjoying watching walkthrough tours just to see the type of boats that we're selling. And also if you're thinking about buying a Targa 30 in the future, then you can have a good opportunity to have a look over one, even though this current one is not available. So she's a 2000 model Targa 30. Now this is the second generation of this style of Targa. So the generation before this was the Targa 29, which came out in 1997 and then turned into the Targa 30 in 1999, and the model year then ran through to 2002. And there's some subtle differences between these two boats and I'll point those out as we go along. Fairline used to make some fantastic small cruisers, but for many years this was actually the smallest Targa that they did. But you'll see she's packed with features and benefits, and I'm really excited to show you over the rest of the boat. So we start off at the bow. As usual, you've got an electric windlass that operates the anchor, and you have foot pedals which are there, or pedals, foot pads. So both the anchor can be operated from the helm position and also here by the anchor. This particular boat, although they're not on it today because we're in winter mode, this particular boat has also got sun pad cushions, and they're actually the original sun pad cushions. They've been kept in really, really nice conditions here. As with all Fairline Targas, you get really nice high guardrails, nice and secure, and easy access to walk around the boat. Safety is a key feature when moving around a boat, and the Fairline Targas always made sure that there were lots of places to hold on to, both here on the sides and then also on the top decks, and of course you have some cup holders there as well. Now for the eagle-eyed amongst you, you may well have noticed that this boat is what they call the Luxe model. Now being the Luxe model, what you get is a couple of upgrades down below, which I'll run through, but you also get these really nice windows cut in. So the Targa 29s didn't have these windows, but it does create a lot more space and light down below, which gives that much more feeling of spaciousness. And you'll see that when we go down below. She's got the blue hull, which is synonymous with the Fairline Targa range. It can bloom, it needs a bit of polish to keep it up together, but you can see this one has clearly been really nicely looked after, and the hull is in tip-top condition. It's going to come out of the water soon and just have a nice polish up, but actually very little is needed to do that. Something I like on the Fairline Targas, it was an option, but a lot of boats have got it, is these shaped grab handles. As you move around from the cockpit space onto the side decks, it's really important to be able to have something to hold on to. Again, from that safety angle, you've got a handhold here, another one here, and then as you walk forward, those other handholds that I mentioned. Now, one of the big changes with the Targa 29 to the Targa 30 was the transom. And what you get on the Targa 30s is you actually have a sun pad on the back. So you can see here that the back of the boat has got this really nice moulded area. Popular at the time was to have davits on boats. This boat does have the option of adding davits on, and you can see the pillar posts there, but also a sun pad at the back. So that's a really nice feature on this boat, that you've got both a dining area and also a sunbathing area at the back. And under the sunbathing area is access to the engines. They're quite a long way down, but of course Fairline thought about that and put a step in, and I'll show you that. Access onto the boat is good. The bathing platform is a nice wide bathing platform. On this particular boat it's fitted with the snap davits on here, so you connect a tender onto the side of those and then lift them up, and then you can see on the side you have a stainless steel rod that then just keeps the tender out at an angle here, so it's nicely away, so you can still step on and off the boat even when there's a tender there. So we'll step on board the boat now and I'll show you the cockpit and the rest of the boat down below. Okay, so we're now in the entrance area to the cockpit. What's nice here, you have the teak bathing platform, which then extends all the way up to that step there, and then you have another teak step on this side, which then marks your access to the side decks. Now that teak step is actually on both sides, so I'm just going to grab the GoPro for a moment. If we go back round onto the platform, you can see there's a step on this side which goes up onto the side decks, as well as there being a step on this side. So side deck access is absolutely brilliant on this boat, and then the grab handles, as I mentioned, are just here. So a nice wide walkway as you come through, and I referred to it earlier as the sun pad section that you have at the back. So this area here on the Targa 29s, this was seating that came all the way back to about here. But what they've done on this particular boat, is they have extended this area to the sun pad all the way back here, and you could get 2 adults who could lay down in the sun on this area, but they haven't sacrificed cockpit space because you've still got this really nice U-shaped seating area around here. Whereas if I sit down, I think you could comfortably get 5 people around this area for a nice meal. You've got speakers up in the radar arch, so you've got music that would play down into here, as well as having a light. So in the evening, that will create a really nice space. Of course, because this is a smaller boat, you don't have a cockpit fridge on this particular boat, but you do have a cabinet there that you could put cleaning products and things like that into. And you also have a cockpit door here. You also have a cockpit door where you can close that off, so if you do have children on board the boat, then you can close that off to make sure that this space is nice and secure for children. One of the features about this cockpit space, in order to maximise the space, is what they've done is they've put quite a clever design here on this seat. So as opposed to having a permanent 2-person seat at the front here, there's a stainless steel mechanism here. You pull the pin out and roll that backwards, and once that's scrolled back, you've got another seating for 2 or 3 people on this side. It's a good way of meaning that you've got 2 good usable spaces here, and access for both of them in different styles. So when you're in your eating and in the bay mode, you've got the space here, roll that back, and then when you're going along, you've got space for friends, and you just pop that stainless steel key back in, and that makes that really nice and secure. So the helm position here is again typical Fairline, nice and ergonomic. Of the era, you've got this dark blue trim. I think this looks really smart. There's not too much of it. On some of the boats, there's loads and loads of blue, and a lot of people are starting to wrap that now just to modernise it a little bit. But on this, I think it's really classy. There's not too much of it. These boats, of course, didn't come with EDC controls, because this is the era of Volvo Penta before the EDC controls. So you've got traditional cable controls, and this particular boat is powered by the KAD32s, which is a supercharged engine which develops 170 horsepower and should push this boat in excess of 35 knots, so she's no slouch, and certainly the cruising speed would be around about 28 knots. This boat comes with a bow thruster fitted, a Raytheon Tri-Data, obviously Raytheon turned into Ray Marine, and then all of your switches, Volvo Penta leg trims. There's a VHF down there as well as your trim. Down here you've got your voltmeters, your engine hours, everything that you need, and then more gauges up here as well as your engine diagnostics. There's 2 plotters on this boat. You've got a large Garmin plotter and then also a slightly smaller Garmin fish finder there as well. In terms of the ergonomics of the seating position, it's a single helm seat, but you do have this bolster. So when you're in seating position, you roll that down and you've got a really nice comfortable seat. But if you want to drive the boat when standing up, then you just lift that up. And this particular boat doesn't have it, but I know some boats like this, you can take this piece of piece of canopy out, so then if the driver wants to stand up and drive, yet the passenger is able to sit down in the dry or perhaps out of the wind, then that's an option too. This boat doesn't have it, but it's easy enough to put a zip in this side and add it in if you wanted to. So that's the helm position on the Targa 30, and just to pan around now, you can see lots of good usable space here in the cockpit, and it's very, very nicely presented. So let's crack on with the viewing it down below. So let's go on down into the cabin, and I'll point out some of those different features from this Luxe model. The steps down here are quite steep, but they're laid to teak, which is a nice feature. One of the reasons that they're so steep is obviously to maximise the amount of space that you have down here. But down below here, it's very clean and tidy and fresh, and everything that you need is here. You have this upholstery, which is very typical Fairline. It does show how well this boat's been looked after though, because this is original upholstery. It's not to everyone's taste, but if you wanted to replace it, it wouldn't be expensive to do it. You've got gas on the boat, so there's a gas cooker just here. And then just to show little attention to detail with Fairline, you have a cupboard here, and you have your crockery, cutlery would be into there, perhaps a spatula and things in there. Really large space You've got a gas shut-off valve, which is just under there. Even just if you've got bottles, they've recessed that into there, so you've got really good, a lot of cupboards like this, you have loads of bottles, you go into a rough sea, they all fall over, so it's nice to see Fairline have thought about that. And then one of these angle fridges, all fully working. Your distribution panel, so all access to all of your switches, turning on the anchor lights, cockpit lights, instrumentation, everything that you need is here. And then the nice thing about this boat also is it's got the lighter interior. So a lot of these boats came with the cherry. This has got the lighter ash interior, lots of good cupboard space, all presented in really nice condition. A couple of Fairline mugs there. But crucially on this boat, because it's the Luxe model, you have this window that runs all the way down the side, and I really like that. I think there's lots and lots of light in here, and particularly when you're standing here in the galley area, your eye line goes straight to look outside, and I think that's fantastic. The table has got a nice design that the table folds out, so here it is in smaller mode, but it's got two leafs on it, and that opens out to create a really nice dining space. So if it is pretty miserable outside, you can come down below. And then you've got a pull blind, so if you're sleeping up here you can close this area off, and there's also blinds up here, so you can bring that down to cut off the light through those windows as well. Really nice high quality windows on this boat. That's the nice thing about Fairline, is that the quality of the build really is throughout the range. So the build quality on this really is the same as the big Targa 47, for example. All they've done is they've just scaled it down, and I think that's one of the reasons that Fairline were not able to produce lots and lots of smaller boats, because historically, going back into perhaps the late 80s, early 90s, Fairline produced lots of smaller boats. There was the Sprint 21, the Carrera 24, the Sun Fury 26, the Targa 27, which I guess is the spiritual predecessor to this boat. But I think the costs of building those smaller boats to such high standards went through the roof, and it was impossible to create the quality of boat that Fairline did at a price point that people would buy, which is why the American boats, I think, came into the market around about then, and really took over on the smaller range. But Fairline really dominate from above 30 feet, and this boat is a prime example of that. So a really good space here. And then you have a CD player. Of course, that can easily be changed perhaps to one of the new Fusion head units that would then give you Bluetooth facilities. Something else I noticed earlier was this particular wardrobe, where these windows run down the side. This wardrobe has actually got a window in it. So it means that the wardrobe is a really nice light space. You've got full hanging space down there onto this rail, which again is unusual on a boat of this size. The heads compartment is nice, very light, again because of this nice Luxe model window. It's a good wet room in here, so everything in here is designed that you can use the shower and everything that you need. So the shower's up there. It's a separate shower, so you've got a separate shower rather than just pull out the tap, which sometimes on boats like this you do. You've got a shower curtain that then pulls around. Now, talking about the Luxe model, something the Luxe model has is this Jack and Jill door. So this door goes through into the aft cabin. So you've got good access through there. If we go into the aft cabin this way, you can see more of this, this jazzy seating, and then a really good size aft cabin. So there's an aft cabin here, porthole, blind, you've got more hanging space, and this locker, really good deep locker. There's a first aid kit down there as well, and two single beds, but of course you could put an infill there to create a really nice big double in here as well. You've got more space in here. It's really great use of space everywhere you look on this boat. Good little seat here, and of course the Jack and Jill access into that heads is just here as well. So a different view of the heads. Close that up. The carpet down here I think is original, so it's this nice tweed style design. Is very, very popular of this age, but you can see it's nicely edged. I just pull that together, nicely edged and bound, and of course this table will drop down, so that will produce another double bed here. So people have got the option, if you want to sleep down below in the twin single berths or convert that into a double, you can. Or of course if you want to convert this into a really large space, you've got the option to do this as well. So I think it's a really spacious feeling boat, this. I can really see why these boats were so sought after, and even today, if I were to relist this boat today, I pretty much guarantee I'd have a full asking price offer by the end of the day on the boat. They really are very sought after boats. and particularly with these KAD32s, great performance as well as good accommodation. So let's go back up into the cockpit and I will just finish up talking about this lovely boat. Okay, now with space as a premium, it's really good to see what Fairline designers have done to think about engine access on this particular boat. As I mentioned before, on the older variants you had seating that ran all the way around the back, but on this you've got the raised sun pad area, which is a really nice benefit because you create these different areas of use within what is quite a small cockpit space. So Fairline have needed to think carefully about how to do the design work on this, and in order to get access to the engines, all you need to do is just lift this backrest off and pop that down there. Now this sun pad cushion, you'll notice quite a natty little flap on it there. When the covers are rolled up, that flap just opens up and then sits to the back to give a full access. But in order to get access to the engine, all you need to do is just slide this sun pad cushion here, and then this whole section just lifts up. So it can be done when the covers are on. It lifts up and then there's a little strut that just pops into a space here. I'll now take the GoPro and just show you the rest of the engine access. So you've got a nice little cubby hole here where you can see you can keep engine oils, any engine spares that you wanted, cleaning products, hoses, but then you've got this really good access to the engine space. Because it's a long way down there, Fairline have thought about that and put this step in, so you can step down into there and then get right down into the engines. So you can see down here, nestled down here, are twin KAD32 engines, as I mentioned earlier, generating about 170 horsepower each, and will propel this boat along at speeds around about 35 knots. Of course, you have the Seafire auto fire system fitted to this boat as well. Easy access to the batteries. The batteries are stored in that battery box down there, and you can see really nice dry bilges down there as well. Oil, fuel separator filters, easy to access. So all of your engine checks and maintenance points are very easy to get to. Oil checks at the top there, your water strainers at the front of the engines, and then of course your fuel separators just down there. So I will just leave that now and just come back up into this area here. Just push the sun pad cushion out of the way. So that pretty much brings us to the end of this walkthrough tour. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. It's really nice to bring you one of these, beautifully shaped classic Fairline Targas, really sought after boats. And for many, this is a brilliant stepping stone into the rest of the Targa range. When talking to the new owners of this, they've got no doubt that in the next couple of years, they're going to be looking at the Targa 34 and upwards as a change for a bit more space in the cabin. But these boats are a premium boat, premium product. Fairline, just fantastic quality boats. So thanks so much for watching. This is another walkthrough video from Parker Adams Boat Sales. Please remember to like and subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to bringing you more boats as we bring on more listings in the next few months. Thanks so much for watching. All the best.